Welcome to DopeBets.
We're going to win so much.
Please subscribe and like this video for more CFL and other sports betting picks. I know a lot of you miss the NFL and college football right now, but at least you can watch and bet on Canadian football in the meantime. I personally like betting on CFL football because it's always exciting with evenly matched competition. With that being said, we'll be going over this week's Canadian football games that are scheduled for this weekend, CFL Week 11. But first,
Not so fast, my friend.
let's get a quick recap of the previous week's CFL action from Week 10. The first game of CFL Week 10 was one of the best regular season CFL games yet. It started out as a defensive slugfest, but in the second half, both offenses really got things going and put up a bunch of points on the scoreboard. The BC Lions were able to capitalize off of a few mistakes made by the Hamilton Tiger Cats, including a huge fumble. I had said that Nathan Rourke and the BC Lions will get the upset on the road, and they did just that. Perfect. Nathan Rourke came out on fire and threw for over 400 yards and a pair of touchdowns. The second game of CFL Week 10 was an absolute defensive brawl by CFL standards. Each team basically used the first quarter to punt the ball back and forth to each other. Somehow in some way, the Elks were basically able to shut down the Montreal Alouettes for the rest of the game after a dreadful first quarter. Montreal went with a quarterback change in the second half after veteran MBT threw a pick six that gave Edmonton a lot of momentum in the first half. As I predicted, Cody Fajardo was able to lead the Elks to a victory over his former team. Even though he was sacked a whopping 6 times, Cody was able to still put together 289 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. A nice big money play for us as the Elks pulled off the upset. In the third game of CFL Week 10, the Ottawa Redblacks had started getting blown out early. This had me sick to my stomach as I had put money for them to win this game. At the end of the first quarter, the score was 22-1. I have no clue what was said on the Red Black sideline, but something lit a fire under their ass and they got things going and put up a bunch of points, ended up winning this game by a score of 46-42. The Toronto Argonauts continue to shoot themselves in the foot as this is yet another loss this season after they've had a huge lead. The Ottawa Redblacks quarterback Drew Brown was on a different level as he led his team to victory with 373 passing yards and 5 passing touchdowns. Yet another successful bet this weekend. Underdogs actually went 3-1 this CFL Week 10. The last game of CFL Week 10 was yet another great game between two tough defensive units. In the last video on CFL Week 10, I had said that the Stampeders would take care of the Blue Bombers. However, I psyched myself out and put the money on the Blue Bombers to win actually. It started out great as Winnipeg had built a decent lead. However, the Calgary Stampeders quarterback Vernon Adams Jr. had made some amazing throws in this game and led his team to a comeback victory. Adams threw for an even 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. If you were following me from the last video, you would have won this bet, but sadly, my own indecision cost me. So to recap CFL Week 10, if you had followed all of my picks from the last video, you would have gone a perfect 4-0 actually. Perfect. We were able to capitalize on the BC Lions, Edmonton Elks, Ottawa Redblacks, and the Calgary Stampeders all to win this weekend. After an action-packed CFL weekend, we have 4 exciting matchups to break down and make a moneyline pick for this upcoming CFL Week 11, so let's get it. First, we'll have the Ottawa Redblacks at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers Thursday night, August 14th. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers come into this game at an even 4-4 record this season. They have a pretty solid defensive unit, but their offense hasn't exactly been so hot. They showed promise last week as quarterback Zach Collaros returned from injury, but unfortunately let the Calgary Stampeders come from behind and steal a win. With that being said, the Blue Bombers do have a record of 3-1 at home this season, so they're pretty solid in front of the home crowd. Winnipeg has also won the last 7 out of 10 games against the Ottawa Redblacks. The Ottawa Redblacks come into this game at a week 3-6. However, they are riding a 2-game winning streak against both the Calgary Stampeders and the Toronto Argonauts. Their defense continues to be really suspect at times. They can and will give up big plays, especially through the air. Quarterback Drew Brown and his receivers are the bright spots for the team, no doubt. For the first game of CFL Week 11, I'll be betting for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to defeat the Ottawa Redblacks. Although the Winnipeg offense hasn't been the greatest in recent weeks, they still have a really high win percentage with Zach Collaros starting at quarterback. The Redblacks are riding a win streak, but I don't think they have the physicality to stop the Bombers on offense, and I'm not sure I could really see them extending the win streak to 3 games. The Winnipeg defense has the athletes to shut down the Redblacks offense. The Blue Bombers defense is tough, especially with elite pass rusher Willie Jefferson on the field. Give me the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at home. The second game of CFL Week 11 will be the Toronto Argonauts at the Edmonton Elks Friday night, August 15th. The Edmonton Elks come into this game at a disappointing 2-6. Their offense has been horrendous at times. They can't seem to capitalize when the game really depends on it. They have pretty decent players on defense, but sometimes still can't seem to stop anyone. Even with all this being said, the Elks seem to fairly cover the spread a good amount though. Cody Fajardo has been somewhat a boost to the Elks locker room, but the offensive line has been absolutely terrible. Last game, Fajardo was sacked 6 times. The previous week, it was about the same thing. They've got to get a handle on that. For this game, I look for the Edmonton Elks to get a victory in front of their home crowd for once. The Elks were finally able to pull off a victory last week with Cody Fajardo at quarterback. I think they have a good chance to replicate that this week against a bad Argonauts squad that just recently suffered an embarrassing loss after another blown lead to the Ottawa Redblacks. Give me the Elks at home. For the third game of CFL Week 11, we'll have the Hamilton Tiger Cats at the Saskatchewan Roughriders Saturday night, August 16th. The Roughriders come into this game at a 7-1 record. They're probably the scariest team in the CFL right now. Quarterback Trevor Harris is playing like his life depends on it, and his receivers Dante Myers and Samuel Emilus are almost impossible to guard. And don't forget about newcomer Joe Robustelli. The Riders' defense has also played stout as they are always in position to make plays on the ball. Once again, this is a scary team at the moment, and I'm not sure when they'll ever lose again, to be honest. The Hamilton Tiger Cats hold a record of 6-2 and are currently at the top of their division. However, they're coming off of a close loss at home to the BC Lions. The Tiger Cats starting quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell has also been playing at a very elite level as well. He has been very accurate with the football as he's thrown for over 300 yards more than a few times this season. He's also been keeping the football safe with minimal turnovers. The Ticats defense is pretty good as well, especially in the secondary at the corner position. I predict the third game of CFL Week 11 to be a victory for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Riders just seem completely unstoppable at the moment, and I'm not sure if the Hamilton Tiger Cats have the chess pieces to match that. The Riders have depth and great situational players. This will be a great duel between two elite-level veteran quarterbacks. However, I'll take Trevor Harris and the Roughriders to get the job done at home against the Tiger Cats. For the fourth game of CFL Week 11, we'll have the Montreal Alouettes at the BC Lions Saturday night, August 16th. This is actually a part of the doubleheader for the day. The BC Lions stand in a subpar 4-5 record. Their offense, led by quarterback Nathan Rourke, is able to make big plays and put points on the board. Their defense is pretty decent as well, with stud Micah Alway at linebacker. Even with all of these pieces, the Lions still hold a record that's below 500, mainly due to questionable decisions in key game situations or simply just not being able to finish in the fourth quarter. The Montreal Alouettes come into this game at 5-4 and are currently on a 2-game losing streak. The Alouettes continue to be riddled with injuries, and the last game against the Elks didn't really help that. The Alouettes still do have some playmakers, but are beginning to run thin. Quarterback Davis Alexander is still out for a few more weeks, and veteran quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson was benched last week due to poor performance after throwing a pick 6 while doing virtually nothing good before that. Montreal will start their third-string quarterback Caleb Evans most likely this week. He actually didn't do too bad given last week's sample size. He went 14 of 18 with 113 yards and a touchdown, although still losing to the Edmonton Elks. For the fourth and final game of CFL Week 11, I'll take the BC Lions to win against the Montreal Alouettes. The BC Lions are capable of putting up tons of points, even on good defenses. With the Alouettes dealing with multiple injuries at various positions, I think the Lions will expose that and put up a ton of points against the Alouettes. Give me the Lions to win this Week 11. That's all my CFL picks that I have for you today, so let's get a quick recap of our picks for CFL Week 11. First, we're taking the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to bounce back and get a victory against the Ottawa Redblacks at home. Next, we're looking for the Edmonton Elks to beat the Toronto Argonauts and get their second consecutive victory. In the third game of CFL Week 11, we're betting for the Saskatchewan Roughriders to beat the Hamilton Tiger Cats at home. And last, we're taking the BC Lions to handle the injured Montreal Alouettes. Hopefully we'll have another exciting week of CFL football and winning bets. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoy this type of content and comment below your CFL Week 11 picks. I'd love to hear them. Thanks again for tuning in this week to DopeBets. Subscribe for more upcoming sports betting content.
I got you, homie.